Why, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Truly Odd podcast, where we bring you the latest in game news and movie news. I am your host, Joe Garcia. So grab your controllers, get your popcorn, and let's go ahead and dive right on in, shall we? Starting off with our game news topics of the day. I seem to be getting clearer up on my throat, but I still might cough in there, here and there, so forgive me, guys, for that. But let's go ahead and dive right on in. It looks like we finally got a gameplay reveal for Blade that dropped yesterday, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at this. Uh,
I'll fight to end the darkness that spawned me. Slice and dice. Silver bullet. The hunt is on. What a hand. Judgment's coming. Still got an edge. A thousand gods! Bury the light.
Man, that is awesome. I think his gameplay looks a lot of fun. I'm loving the way he moves, his fluidity, even his combat style. It seems like a lot different from other brawlers and stuff like that. The way he utilizes his sword and he can shoot at the same time. Almost like a mix between Bucky and, I don't think I can think of Magic, maybe. I think the only character I can think of with a sword, but not such sweeping attacks, but he looks like a lot of fun to play, and I love his ult, the freaking slash straight ahead and cutting anyone in between that was behind you in that slash. I just love the way he's looking and the way that hopefully that he plays. I cannot wait to check him out. I believe he's dropping on, if I'm not mistaken, this does have the date on August 8th. So we're looking at like around 8 days from now. So I can't wait to check him out and play as him. But might have to play something else on August 8th or 9th, depending on what's gonna happen. So we'll see what ends up happening there. We'll talk more about want to talk about later. There's also been more updates regarding Marvel Rivals. There's a 3.4 update that they had to sit down around a 7-minute video breaking down what new changes, team ups are coming. But I wanted to mainly focus on Blade because we do have quite a bit to talk about today regarding Nintendo and Battlefield 6 coming later on in our subject. So we'll go ahead and move on. But let me know what you guys think of the Blade gameplay. I really enjoy it, and I cannot wait to play as this character. Moving on to our next game news topic of the day. It looks like Xbox Game Pass's revenue has finally or nearly come up on the $5 billion mark, according to IGN and some other articles that have mentioned this. They're finally turning a really good profit of $5 billion. They have about 35 million subscribers to the Xbox Game Pass, probably on both tiers as far as Xbox and PC is concerned. So that being said, and I know it sounds like a lot of money, but the question is, they just recently laid off how many employees? Hold on. Let's see how many employees they laid off. Microsoft layoffs. They laid off about, let's see. They laid off about 9,000 employees. So I think it's really weird that a company could be bringing in $5 billion from a service that they're providing, but yet laying off 9,000 people. Now, I don't think 9,000 people cost $5 billion necessarily. I don't know what their back end numbers are looking like, but I still think the Xbox Game Pass, even though they're nearing the $5 billion mark in revenue, I still think they're losing a lot of money. And the reason I believe this is, you have to cover the servers, you have to cover the current employees that you have, not to mention their other game studios, not to mention Xbox consoles itself. So there's a lot of bleeding going on at Xbox. So I think that while this is good, they're bringing in a lot of revenue, and I think they just hiked up the price recently for the Xbox Game Pass, like a month or so ago, or back in February, I think. Yeah, they hiked up the price back in February, or wait, no, that's when they had 34 million subscribers. Let's see. Anyways, they hiked up the price recently of Xbox Game Pass. Sorry about that, guys. But all that being said, even with the price hikes, and they're probably going to do another price hike with this, $5 billion seems to not be enough, because if they are making that good of, if that good of money, 5 billion sounds great. To me, to you, anybody, and I can't imagine a company making $5 billion off a service and still losing money. It just makes no sense to me. What are they doing? I know Netflix did this a while back where they were making hand over fist a lot of money because of the amount of subscribers that they had, but they were also hemorrhaging a lot of money because of all the $1 million projects that they were working on, the Gray Man and other things like that, costing so much damn money. So they ended up were not making profit, even though on paper they were bringing in billions of dollars monthly almost. So this is probably the same thing with Xbox. While yes, we're seeing a $5 billion revenue for their for fourth quarter, or for quarter four of the year, uh, it's still not enough for them to be in a profitable zone, at least in my opinion. And if they are in a profitable zone, why the fuck would they lay off 9,000 people? It's fucking ridiculous. But, who knows? I don't know their back end numbers. We'll keep an eye out and see if there's any more updates regarding this. But Xbox Game Pass seems to be doing good, and seems to be looking good for Xbox with a $5 billion revenue according to some of these articles. Moving on to our next, excuse me, our next game news topic of the day. Hideo Kojima, who just did the, oh my god, I cannot think today, who just did Death Stranding 2, forgive me guys, who just did Death Stranding 2 on the beach, that game to drop, and now that he has had his game release, he's now able to focus on one of the Xbox projects that he announced back in, I believe, in 2023, which is 3 years ago now, with OD, which I think stands for overdose. If you don't remember this, it was kind of a weird introduction trailer. Let's go ahead and actually take a look at that. What that trailer is right here. Forgive me for the loud noise, guys. I'm gonna see if I can mute it to turn it down a bit, because it does get pretty loud. Uh, we'll mute it for now while this ad goes by. But basically, he was saying that now that he's done with that project, he's gonna be going to focus on OD, and it is a very different type of game, if a game at all. He said it's going to be more of a new medium, but let's go ahead and take a look at what the teaser was.
The hungry purple dinosaur ate the kind zingy fox, the jabbering crab, and the mad whale and started vending and quacking.
The hungry purple dinosaur ate the kind zingy fox, the jabbering crab, and the mad whale and started vending and quacking.
The hungry purple dinosaurs ate the kind zingy fox, the jabbering crab, and the mad whale, and started vending and quacking.
So yeah, a very weird trailer, a very weird teaser that was, I think, shown at the Game Awards, and just very interesting. I don't know what they got going on there, but he did say that the real evaluation comes after 10 or 20 years for his games, about how he feels towards what people think about his work. And he also mentioned here, if you could see in this article, it is a game. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's a movie, and at the same time, it's a new form of media. So I'm very curious what he means by this, and what exactly he's trying to develop with this game. I'm sure he's trying to tell a very interesting story, at the same time also trying to make it gameplay related. So I'm very curious what it's even like, or what it could possibly be. Maybe like a Heavy Rain situation where you're making choices, but very interesting trailer. Very interesting what they got going on. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out for OD. And now that he is done with Death Stranding 2, hopefully he can bring his full attention to this project. I mean, they're already probably 2, 3, 4 years into development on this. So I'm very curious at what stage they are in the process so we can see what comes of it. Hopefully within the next Game Awards, we'll see another trailer with maybe some more details and some more information regarding this game. But let me know what you guys think. Are you intrigued with Hideo Kojima's new project OD or upcoming project OD? And are you a little weirded out by this trailer like I am? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Moving on to our next game news topic of the day. Nintendo just had their Partners Direct, which is basically them initiating to their partners what games and what things are going to be coming out for the Nintendo Switch 2. And while I'm not going to break down the whole presentation, Game Informer has an article here that basically breaks down everything that was announced. And so that's what we're going to be going through, all the announcements for July's Nintendo Partners Direct. So, starting off with, they announced Monster Hunter Stories 3. Once upon a, forgive me if I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Katamari. Just Dance 2026, which I'm curious how that's going to work for the Switch. You know, maybe using the sticks. But yeah. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to be coming to the Switch 2. Plants vs. Zombie Replanted, which I will probably be checking out because I'm a big fan of the Plants vs. Zombie games. So hopefully this comes out and it's very fun. We'll have to wait and see. But I do believe it's coming out for the Switch and the Nintendo Switch. Yes, it is. Okay. EA Sports FC 26, forgive me. Pac-Man World 2 Repack. Final Fantasy Tactics. Dummy me. Persona 3 Reloaded. I'm sure my cousin Austin would very much love to check that out on the Switch. Hyrule Warrior Age of Imprisonment. A lot of these I haven't even heard of, guys. Madden NFL 26. Chillin' by the Fire. Apex Legends. Ella, which looks pretty interesting if you guys want to check that trailer out. Star Wars Outlaws, because it's a horrible game, but they need to make some money off of it. Excuse me. Korna's The New Dawn. Yakuza, which is a double. I think this is 1 and 2. Yes, it is. Goodnight Universe. NBA Bounce. Hello Kitty. What's this one called again? Forgive me, guys. I can't pronounce this one, but maybe you guys know it. Don't seem to be here. Oh, it's on the bottom. Romancing Saga 2. Ninja Art of Vengeance, which I would probably be buying for the Switch if I had a Switch 2. Borderlands 4. Elliot. And Octopath Traveler. Forgive me, guys. I'm dyslexic as fuck. So when I read things, a lot of the words are jumbled in my head and I can't pronounce things sometimes. So that's how that comes out. But these are a lot of the games that have been announced for the Switch 2 that are going to be coming, release dates. If any of these interest you, let me know in the comments down below which ones interest you the most. For me, if I were to pick one that interests me the most, it's probably be the Plants vs. Zombies one. Only because I remember spending hours on end on my phone playing Plants vs. Zombies when I went to the DMV, when I was waiting for somebody. So that was always a great go-to game. So I will definitely probably be checking that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which game are you most excited for coming to the Switch? Also, have you purchased the Switch 2 and is it worth it? Because I haven't gotten one yet and I'm not really looking to get one unless I have a really good console seller, which I feel they haven't really had one personally. Let me know what you guys think. And moving on to our last game news topic of the day, Battlefield 6 multiplayer reveal just happened. Now, it was a big presentation. There was a lot going on in this presentation, so I highly recommend you guys find the whole presentation. I think it's still going on as my recording. People are playing Battlefield 6, beta version, of course, for this live event, so they can kind of showcase and use the gameplay. But what we're gonna do here is we're gonna look at one of the trailers. Of course, there's gonna be music, so YouTube might be a bit of a bitch. So I'm gonna be muting it and talking over it and talking about some of the things that we're seeing in the gameplay. So let's go ahead and take a look, shall we? Okay, so that's one thing that they mentioned. As you see, they're really focusing a lot on the destruction. I guess fans were complaining with the most recent Battlefield that there's not enough destruction, buildings can't be destroyed. So they really put a focus and emphasis on destruction of buildings. You know, you can take out the floors underneath your enemies, you can attack from above, you can sledgehammer down on something, you can shoot open doors. So that's very, very awesome. That's something I loved about Battlefield Company 2. So I'm happy they're bringing something like this back and even more enhanced as we are looking at PS5 version of the game. And also new ways of movement. You can roll now, you can pivot to the side, you can post on things, as you aim, and also turn. You can jump off high places and roll. And as you saw here, you can pick up one of your buddies who needs to be revived and actually drag them out of danger as you revive them. And as they get revived, they can lay there as you're reviving them and cover you. And so that's really cool. All right, I need to mute it because they're playing a lot of music. But yeah, all this stuff that you're showing, they kind of show you an idea of what they want to go on, and this is really, really awesome. I think right here they sledgehammer the bottom of the ground right here. Yeah, so you can sledgehammer the floor, burst it open, and then you can see enemies below and attack them, which is freaking awesome. This just looks like classic Battlefield Bad Company, and I wish this was a Bad Company game because those were always the good ones in my opinion. But I'm happy they're bringing it back, and they're also having a campaign, which is phenomenal. And I loving the areas, fighting in Brooklyn, fighting in open fields. They're really changing up the environments that you're going to be fighting in, and they're really showcasing a lot of the, they see the air animations from these jets as they fly by. Oh, I can't wait to play this game. This is gonna be so much fun. And mind you guys, a lot of this footage, while of course it's enhanced for the trailer and stuff, this is still beta right now. They're not gonna be releasing until they actually had announced the release date. It's on October 10th. So, couple more months, guys. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this trailer. For my apologies, I had to put it on mute and stuff like that. But if you want to check it out, it's in the description down below. And also, I highly recommend you guys look up the full event and check out some of the things that they announced. It seems very interesting. New gameplay modes that they're introducing. They did this weird tease at the end of the presentation that I don't know what the hell that was. Maybe it was like a Warzone type of thing. It looked like people were running away and then there was explosions coming from mountains. I don't know what the hell that was. You guys can tell me what it was if you know. But yeah, my key takeaways are the destruction aspect, which I have always complained about every Call of Duty game and even other Battlefield games. If I have C4 and there's a wall and it's not fucking C4 proof, I should be able to blow it the hell up. I should be able to get on top of any building. And it seems like they really utilize a lot of that aspect for this game. You can climb up, you can go through windows on railings, you can parachute, and Battlefield's always been fun for that aspect of things. I'm just happy they really focused more on the destruction because that was my favorite part of a lot of their games. And also, guys, they're going to be releasing a beta version of this game free to play for everyone on August 9th and 10th, and I think also the weekend after. Mind you, I think there's a pre-order thing if you sign up for, I think, Battlefield Labs or something like that, where you can get it a couple days early. So if you guys are interested in that, again, go ahead and take a look at the full presentation. They'll let you guys know how to sign up for that. But I'm very excited for Battlefield 6. It is definitely going to be a game I'm purchasing this year, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on it. I'm very excited to finally get my hands on the game that I can fully enjoy and immerse myself in as far as a Warzone aspect, because I kind of fell off on Call of Duty a while ago. While I am interested in checking out Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Battlefield 6 got me covered. Excuse me, guys. Moving on. That does it for our game news topic of the day. Sorry about guys. We're gonna go ahead and move on to our movie news topics. And our first movie news topic looks like Jeremy Strong is is currently the top choice to replace Jeffrey. What's his name? Damn it, what's that actor's name? Hold on. It's gonna bother me now. Jesse Eisenberg. My apologies. So it looks like Jeremy Strong is the top choice to replace Jesse Eisenberg for the Mark Zuckerberg role in the sequel to The Social Network. Now, if you don't know who that is, he's very famous from not Severance. What's the show called? Succession. He's gotten a lot of popularity from Succession, so he looks like he's top pick to be replacing Jesse Eisenberg for Mark Zuckerberg. Now, I'm not sure if Jesse Eisenberg isn't interested in the role for the sequel to The Social Network, but for me, that it makes no sense why they would be looking for someone else to take the role. Jesse Eisenberg has aged, and he kind of fits the bill of what even Mark Zuckerberg looks like, and it's very familiar to what we saw in the first movie. I'm sure people will be confused with the recasting. I'm not saying people are dumb or anything, but it'll probably take them a while to get used to it, especially if they're fans of the first Social Network movie. But let me know what you guys think. I think Mark Strong's a great actor. I assured that he'll kill the performance without a doubt, but I would prefer Jesse Eisenberg to return if he wants to. But if he's not going to return, you can't. He's a great talent, so you can't really complain. Great talent's a great talent, so congratulations to him. Hopefully he gets the role in that case. But let me know what you guys think of this news. Moving on to our next topic of the day. If you guys haven't heard of this company, they're called Cosmo, and what they do is they kind of do in like almost like an immersive environment for when you watch a movie. They recently did one with The Matrix, and I'll show you guys what that looks like right now. But they're talking about their next shared reality immersive environment thing, and they are looking to do that with Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for their next experience. Now, if you guys haven't heard of this, I think it's based in LA currently, so if you're LA bound or if you're visiting LA, I highly recommend you guys check this out. What they do is they take the movie, I think they have a picture. They take the movie and they really do this, where you're sitting here in the theater and the whole screen, so you have a square vision that's hold on, let me get my full camera here. So you have this square part that's your screen where you watch the movie, and the rest all around you in 360 view is other things going on, whether it's buildings, whether it's Matrix things. Matter of fact, guys, you know what? I didn't pull this up, but I think it's so interesting that I'm going to see if I can find some clips for you guys. So you guys can actually see what this looks like and not just look at a picture. And I'm very curious how they would incorporate this into Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, because Matrix made a lot more sense to me for this kind of experience, but I'm not sure really how I would feel about it being Willy Wonka. I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work, you know, whether it's being in the Chocolate Factory and things of that sort. I cannot find a clip that shows us the experience. Let's see. Cosmo Matrix experience. Let's see. Maybe on YouTube. Forgive me, guys, if this is taking longer than you wanted. I just want to make sure that you guys check this out. Oh, here we go. I think this would be a good clip here. All right. Let's go back over here and take a look. I'm going to keep it on mute because I don't know if they're playing music or something like that. But this is a perfect clip. Yes, this is exactly what I saw. So you're here in the movie. You know, you're going through the numbers, and then bam, the world consumes you in the 3D view, and you're kind of surrounded by it. And, you know, while a lot of trailers tend to exaggerate stuff like that, apparently in this thing, it's really like this. And from the things that I've seen on Instagram and other things. This is literally how it looks like. Look at that. That's so freaking cool. So I highly recommend you guys check this out if you're interested. I mean, Matrix is still playing, I believe. So if you guys are interested in checking it out, go ahead and do that. But I'm very curious how they're going to do this with the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I'm sure it'll come out phenomenal. They seem to be doing great work over there with things like this. And I'd be very intrigued in watching it. Now, I didn't get a chance to go check out the Matrix one for myself, but this is a good excuse to go ahead and check out a Willy Wonka one, which I will definitely probably be doing. And I'll probably be checking out Cosmo every time they have a movie release, especially if it's something this immersive. I think it's a good thing, you know, a date idea, you and your brother spending time together, whoever you want to take, a family member. I think it's a great experience for them, especially if they're someone that loves that movie. I wish I would have taken my Theodora to it, but I didn't get the opportunity because I lost my job back in December, so I didn't have the money for it, and I'm trying to save as much as I can until I find a new gig. So hopefully we'll be able to experience something like that later on in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But let's go ahead and move on to our next topic of the day. And our next topic of the day is talking about Jeremy Renner may be returning to the MCU. Now, he was recently interviewed a while back, and he was mentioning how he kind of got lowballed for how much they would pay him for season 2. They didn't even offer him the same amount of money that he made for season 1. But I guess, you know, after a while, talks have continued, and now he's more, of course, wants to return as Hawkeye. Now, nothing's been set in stone. Marvel hasn't announced anything, but he did say he's willing to return for season 2 and be in part of other MCU movies, that his body is getting back to normal. Now, if you don't know what happened with Jeremy Renner, he almost died. He was ran over by a snowplow, if I'm not mistaken, and he was in the hospital for quite some time and had issues moving and stuff like that. And I think he was pronounced dead for a while, but they resuscitated him and brought him back. So he's been through a lot these past couple years. So it'd be great to see him back as Hawkeye. I love him in this role. I think he's a very very underrated character in the MCU because he does bring a lot of the humanity to the MCU, in my opinion, as far as, you know, while he does have these fantastic abilities, he's still only human. You know, even what they introduced in season 1, you know, with his hearing loss and things like that. So he's a very constantly evolving character, and I would love to see a season 2 of his show, especially now that Marvel's really focusing on, you know, really focusing on what stories they're going to be telling as far as Disney Plus series, because initially with Bob Chapek, who replaced Bob Iger, the mandate was, you know, pump out everything as fast as you can. And now that Bob Iger has returned temporarily and gave kind of Kevin Feige his power back, now he wants them to really focus on quality over quantity, which is the way it should be. And, you know, when you do that, better things better come. So the MCU is kind of hopefully coming back to a nice revival instead of just pumping out a bunch of bullshit. And I would love to see Jeremy Renner return. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited to see Jeremy Renner return to the MCU? Moving on to our next movie news topic of the day. It looks like Jason Momoa is going to be returning for Dune 3. Now, if you don't know the Dune movies, spoiler alert, he plays a character, I believe, named Duncan Idaho, and he dies in the first Dune movie, protecting Paul Atreides and his mother. Now, in the story, his character dies, so Jason Momoa seemed to have shaved his beard again, doing a social media post. And he hates the way he looks, but he said he'd do anything for Denis Villeneuve because he loves him as a director. But the question is, how is he going to return? Well, apparently, Duncan Idaho in the story of Dune Messiah is cloned. Now, I don't know about if he's cloned in the first Dune book. The first Dune book was put into part 1 and part 2 for the movies, but Dune Messiah being the second book and the third movie that we're going to see for part 3, or the third adaptation for it, Duncan Idaho is cloned, and, you know, there's drama ensuing of that. So I'm not sure if this is going to be flashbacks with Duncan Idaho and Paul Atreides, or if it's going to be the actual clone version of Duncan Idaho. I'm very interested in where they're going to go with that. But I love knowing that Jason Momoa is going to be returning to the Dune world, because his character was a lot of fun, and very interested in seeing where they go with the Dune 3 story. But him returning is always a positive, in my opinion. You cannot do bad when you're bringing in great talent like Jason Momoa. And I can't wait to see him as Lobo. So hopefully we'll be able to get a year where we see him as Lobo and as Duncan Idaho back in the Dune 3 universe. But let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for Jason Momoa's return in Dune 3? And moving on to our last movie news topic of the day. Apparently, there is a Gremlins 3 script that has just hit Steven Spielberg's desk and it is waiting for his approval. So, Amblin Entertainment is currently working on a Gremlins 3 script. Of course, Steven Spielberg, being the main producer of the movie, has final sign off. And Warner Brothers is very excited and interested in getting this movie out and going. I think this is due to a lot of successful, movies coming out like Beetlejuice, and other movies that have really excited nostalgia feels and returning to worlds like this. So Steven Spielberg, being the greatest director of all time, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with anything that he's involved in. Now, mind you, Steven Spielberg has put his name on a lot of producing roles, but or a lot of things that have as a producer, but as an executive producer even, but that doesn't necessarily mean he has his full hand in the jar. They mostly use him as that for his namesake, and when you're that famous and that well known, you want Steven Spielberg's name on everything. But he does seem to have a major part into this to this aspect because he's getting approval for the script. So we'll see what happens with Gremlins 3. Now, I don't think this article mentions anyone that wrote this script, but hopefully that news will come out. I'm very curious in seeing who write it, even who the director would be. But this is, I think, very early stages of Gremlins 3, so hopefully we will end up getting Gremlins 3 sometime within 2026 or 2027. I think it would be a great Christmas release as the originals were, and I'm very interested to return to see where the world has gone, knowing Gremlins were a thing. Maybe people forgot about them, maybe they've evolved in a certain way, so there's so many ways they can go, and I'm very curious if they're going to ignore Gremlins 2 or if they're going to actually incorporate it and make this Gremlins 3, or do something they did with Halloween and call it Gremlins again, but referring to the other one, or like they did with I Know What You Did Last Summer, even though it's the title of the original. Very curious what they're going to do, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited for a Gremlins 3 like I am, and are you happy Steven Spielberg is more involved than he usually is with other projects? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And yeah, and that's a wrap for today's episode of the Truly Odd Podcast, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. And always, guys, remember, stay true, be odd.